Hey all, and welcome to TikTok Talk. Today, we're talking about the Zodiac Jetomatic. Before we get into the review, let's talk about the specs. This watch has a 42mm case. It has a case thickness of 10.7mm. It has a 20mm lug width. It's 49.4mm lug to lug. It has 100 meters of water resistance and is operating at a 4 Hz beat frequency. This is a watch I'm very excited to share with you. As I'd never seen this watch before, my friend at Sullivan Watch Store showed it to me. Apparently this watch was released in 2017 by Zodiac Watches, and that's probably the first reason I've never heard of it, because Zodiac very often gets overlooked by the current watch community. I believe that's a huge mistake. Zodiac is a brand with a rich history and has been around since 1882. In fact, they were among the early pioneers of the modern dive watch. They were also unfortunately hit, like many Swiss watchmakers, by the quartz crisis, and were eventually saved by Fossil watches. And that, I believe, in part is why this great brand gets overlooked. That affiliation with Fossil, a department store or fashion brand, has tainted the image of Zodiac. But as I understand it, Zodiac is still operating independently and creating some fantastic watches. And today's watch is a fine example of what they're creating. What you're looking at is a reissue of one of their original designs. This watch is the Jet-O-Matic. It's a sort of flashback to a futuristic watch at the time.
I'm back from the future.
Great Scott!
One of the things I love about it is how faithfully it brings back the look of the original watch. The only real difference being the size, as the original watch was just a little smaller in diameter. It's fun because even the name feels so very retro. There was a wonderful time when mid-century designers tried to imagine what the future might look like, and it seemed like they added the suffix "omatic" to everything to imply a futuristic design. This watch for me has just enough going on to keep it interesting, while stepping away a little from the rather sparse design of a typical Flieger watch. Many times I find a Flieger watch a little too boring, but this watch is hitting all the right buttons for me. First, let's talk about the movement in this watch. The STP-313 is an in-house movement for Zodiac. It's not only cost certifiable, but also features a swan neck regulation system which makes it easy to adjust. The watches are decorated with a perlage on the base plates and the bridges and have a 44-hour power reserve. The movement in this watch is on par with Sellita and ETA movements. Next, let's take a look at that dial. Even though I would prefer raised indices, the font choice for the numerals along with the triangles of the hour markers make it look great. I also like the white minute track running around the border. Even the way they handle the date window has a unique vibe. I love that it's color matched and has a little circle at about 4:30. This allows all the hour markers to be uniform in size and yet present the date in a futuristic style with that little window. The hands have a wonderful retro feel too that's very legible at all angles, and I love the pop of color on that second hand that looks like a little cocktail stirrer. And all of this is protected by a flat piece of sapphire. And now, check out that Loom. This beauty is definitely loaded with it. Next, let's check out that awesome crown. I love the vintage looking onion crown like you might find on an Oris or an IWC Pilot watch. I will say that this particular watch seems to be a little finicky when you screw down the crown, but as far as operation, having that big crown makes setting the time and date a breeze. Just be careful when you screw it back down. I can't imagine how difficult it would be to repair a stripped crown thread. The leather strap that comes in this model may look a little plasticky, but it feels very comfortable on the wrist. This watch also has a variant that comes with a steel bracelet, but other reviewers mentioned that it was a little sharp and could use a little bit better finishing. And since this is a pilot's watch, I opted for the leather strap, and I'm happy I did. Flipping the watch over, you get to see an unexpectedly nice looking movement for a watch at this price point. The focal net, as we mentioned before, being the swan neck regulator. While its only real benefit will be for your watchmaker, it is something pretty to see when inspecting the movement through the display case back. Another interesting critique I have here is the finishing on the surround of the display window seems to be a little sharp. It surprised me when I ran my fingers across it for the first time, but it's not like you feel it when you're wearing it. I just think that if Zodiac does do another reissue of this watch, they ought to check that finishing on a few places. Overall, I think this is a beautiful watch, and I'm really happy to have it in my collection. I just wish Zodiac had spent a little more time on the finishing. Would I recommend this watch to other collectors? Absolutely. They may be hard to find, but due to the fact that Zodiac isn't super popular right now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this review, you can pick them up for about half the retail price on the secondary market. Or you could always check with my guy over at Sullivan Watch Source. I'll link to his Instagram in the description. Thanks for watching TikTok Talk. Remember, if you like this video, please be sure to subscribe and share it if you like with others.